All right, let's make a formal introduction for our listeners. Good afternoon, Sean. My name is Claudio, and I'm calling you from Washington, D.C. From the Student Fairfax City. We're very grateful that Siân James accepted our invitation to our show. Siân, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's lovely to be here talking to you. Wonderful.
Same here. Siân, let's go back to the beginning of your life. Were you born how music came to you? Were you born like a musical family? How were you when perhaps your parent push you to, hey, take piano lesson or guitar lesson? It's going to be an important part of your life. And take me back to the beginning.
Well, music was always a huge part of my life and my family's life and the community's life. So it was, it was a given, really. Everybody, sang. All my family sang. Most of my friends all played the piano. And in the time that I was young, here in this area, many of my friends played the harp. And of course, the harp is the national instrument of Wales. And when I was growing up here, there was a wonderful lady called Frances Morn Jones, who used to sing traditional music with her to her own harp accompaniment. And she used to be the harp teacher in the area. And when I started off on the harp at the age of 11, she had 250 pupils learning the harp, which is just amazing. And she used to teach in groups in all the schools in the area. And she was a phenomenal woman. So she started me off on the harp, and also she inspired me to start singing to my own harp accompaniment and to get me to do arrangements of folk songs. And before I started learning the harp, I started on the piano when I was 6. And I had a lovely teacher called Mrs. Price. And she was very strict, very different from Frances Morn, who was my harp teacher. But she was family. She was one of my family as well, but no nonsense. And I started at 6, and then I started going through all the exams and stuff like that. And I just found that I absolutely adored playing the piano. And I did my first composition after a few months of starting on the piano. And I composed a little song on the piano when I was 6. So I think there was something in there, desperate to get out regarding creativity and stuff from a very young age. But as I said, my whole family, especially my father's side, were wonderful singers. My dad had the most beautiful tenor voice. And when I think about him now, when he used to just sing, I used to accompany him on the piano sometimes, and he would just make me cry with this amazing depth of soul in his voice. And he was a quiet man, but had the voice of an angel. So yes, there was a lot of music in my family, a lot.
Good for you. So your parents saw you. Man, this young lady really like music. She's doing well, taking a lot of private lessons as well. You knew, that you have received a lot of encouragement, I suppose, for you to keep on going, right? So if you at the time probably you didn't know that will be your life, right? That you will go to the medical school or become an engineer. Somehow you will become a musician, right? So
well.
Oh no, yet.
I had no idea at that time, I guess, but it was a huge part of my life because, of course, culturally as well, we have the Eisteddfod in Wales, which is a sort of a competition-based arts festival, really, which covers music and poetry and everything. And you have small Eisteddfods, Eisteddfodau, and the big ones, So that was also a huge part. So there was a lot of competitions that we used to get part of as well, as part of the community throughout Wales. And I suppose towards the end of my teens, I started to think, because I was starting to do a bit of acting as well, and I thought, perhaps I could make a career of this, because mind you, I did want to be a doctor in the beginning, but then I was so terrible at maths, it didn't work out. So I stuck to the creativity, and I stuck with healing through music rather than being a doctor. So so then I went to university at 18 and studied music in Bangor University. Yeah.
So your parents were okay? No pressure for your parents. Don't go music. It's difficult life. You're not going to be earning any money. You're going to be poor. Go to medical school. Go become an engineer. So they were happy with your decision. And
They were. They were inspirational parents. When I think about them, especially my mother. My mother was a force of nature, and she always said to me from when I was very young that you have to follow your heart. And she used to say, the world is your oyster. The world is your oyster, she used to say to me. I never knew what that meant when I was little, but as I was growing up, it made sense to me. And she always encouraged me to believe that you could, if you put the hard work in and you love what you do, that's what's important. I think she worried as well, on the sort of financial side, but they were always very, very supportive of me. My dad was quieter about it because he was from a very traditional background, and I even suggested to him once that, what if I come home and I do my music and my sort of that artistic side, but I farm with you as well. But that lasted about a year, and he couldn't cope with me, I don't think, as a farmer. So I then went full time into the music.
Good for you. But early, I think I read somewhere you were, by the age 15, you were touring with a harp trio in your country, right?
Yes.
Wow, that's
that was Frances Vaughan Jones, my teacher. There was another pupil she had called Ieuan Jones, who is a world famous classical harpist now. Yeah. And he was younger than me, and Frances and myself and Ieuan did all the sort of the Welsh societies in England and did a lot of concerts around. And there was a primary school troupe that used to come with us as well, called the Gwerinwyr Bach.
Wow.
The little folkies. So they used to come and play with us as well. And we went, to the London Welsh, and we travelled. We went to Birmingham, Wolverhampton, I remember, and it was a great experience. When I look back, I mean, as you say, we were very young, really, but fantastic.
So you went to school, you end up finishing the school, and then you start at the time composing, playing a couple places, making a little bit of money here and there. That's right. Because at the time when will you release the first record? I mean, that was some years after that.
Yes, that took a while. Because when I went to university in Bangor, I was part of a band called Buch Adanas, which was a folk band, acoustic folk band to start, and then became more into folk rock. And that was fantastic for many years, really. And that was my first experience of being in a band with other musicians, like drum and bass and whatever. And then, but I was also, at the same time, I was doing concerts on my own as well. So that kept me going through university. But it was there in Bangor that I began my interest in composing. And I had a fantastic composition inspiration in Professor William Matthias, who was the head of the department in Bangor. And he was very inspirational when it came to the composing side. So there you go. Lots of, lots of inspirations really along the way. Different facets to it all. Do you know what I mean?
When the acting came into your life? I mean, as you were playing music, you knew that you wanted to be like I don't know where you were acting, where movies, commercial, plays. What was it?
Theatre, mostly.
Theater, okay, yeah.
It began in theatre because when I was about 14, I began acting in a youth theatre.
Yeah.
And then that carried on in university as well, where I did a few dramas in university, and then yes, mostly theatre, and then television later on in my late 20s and 30s, which lasted really for about 20 years, and then not so much lately. But music was always my first love.
Yeah.
Mm.
Were you able to compose to combine both? I mean,
Well,
do some music.
I did.
Yeah.
As with any artist, you know,
You need to make money, right? You need to do
you
a lot.
do exactly. And with the Welsh language television channel, of course, where starting off in the 80s here, it was a wonderful time to be involved in television in Wales. And the work was prolific, and theatre work as well. It was all really is a busy time. It's I don't think it's quite as easy for Welsh language actors these days. It's all got a bit more complicated, I think. But even though music was definitely my first love, that was an aspect of creativity which I so appreciated, and it was being able to, I don't know, become somebody else and another persona, which of course is essentially what happens when you sing a song. You take on the persona of the character in the song, and so the acting and the music is really pretty closely linked, isn't it? I haven't thought about it like that before, actually. Yeah.
And the lyrics, since I don't understand your language, the lyrics for two questions there. The lyrics for you come first, or you write music and then they put the lyrics, and what they are all about? It's about your sort of Celtic tradition, or more like I don't know, real life, like hey, I broke up with a boyfriend or girlfriend, or my parent did something, or my neighbor passed away, or whatever, or they're more in the Celtic traditions stuff.
Well, the traditional folk songs that I love to arrange, and that's really where it all started, rather than my own, compositions type thing, and the wealth of emotions in these songs of the traditional folk songs are they always used to floor me, even from a young age, and they're ageless. I mean, obviously there are themes in some of these songs now which are not particularly politically correct by now, but emotionally, it's the same. It's those same feelings from back in the 1700s to they are now. We're still the same kind of humans, aren't we? In the human emotion, and that's what always used to pull me into a particular folk song were those emotions and the drama behind them. And then when I began to do my own compositions, I worked with a close friend of mine called Angharad Jones, and she was one of my closest friends in university, and she was a fantastic bard. And so we began writing together, and from the early 1990s, late 80s, early 90s. And all the first albums were, apart from one or two songs, which I did myself, but they were mostly her poetry. And I've been very lucky in being able to work together with bards who, and writers of words who are just amazing, because it's not really my forte. And writing words, I have to be really, really moved or inspired to write the words for a song, which has happened. And it's almost like a flash of lightning, and it's like, whoa, and there it is, and it just happens. But it's very rare. I wish it happened more often. But yeah, so I very often will compose a tune or a theme or whatever, either on the harp or on the piano, and then I'll talk to somebody about it, and or somebody who I know writes, and oh yes, we could do that, or we could do that. What are the visions you're having? What's the feeling you're getting from the music? And then I'll say, and then they're usually inspired to write the words.
I got it. I got you. You have a very nice voice, actually, and
thank you. Thank you.
You're
It's
very good at what you
changed
do.
over the years, Claudio. It really has changed. But all our voices
We get
change.
old, we change, we modify, we this and that. That's part of life, So
Yeah,
can embrace it, differently. It's
exactly.
not. I don't. It's not worse. Hopefully better, but no worse, right? So, do the young kids, talking about kids that are the equivalent of high school here, 15, 16, they like that kind of music, or they are more into rock and roll, like I am, like, I don't know, U2 or Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin and Genesis, King Prince and all this, man, or the young kids listen to the stuff in your country.
Or, folk music especially seems to be holding its ground, and not just holding its ground, it seems to be really becoming more and more popular with young people. That hasn't happened by accident. It's taken a lot of work and investment in a way by the country to do that. And so there's a lot of interest in folk music and the folk instruments, in harp. So I teach harp as well. So I've got about, at the moment, I've only got 8 pupils, which I think is a reflection of those 2-3 years with COVID. But before that, I had nearly sort of 20 pupils at one point. But things are, it's okay. And they're interested in, and, I try to get them to have an interest in creating as well, and composing while they're learning about the harp, So, which I think is also important for them to have that little chance to express themselves. Yeah,
absolutely. Like I told you before, right? I sort of discovered, I don't know if you can call it Celtic music or not, but I think I discovered, I heard Clannad first, right? And Moya Brennan, right? And then after that, Lorena McKenna, and it was different, right? So I really like the stuff. When Clannad was singing, I saw them recently here in Washington, D.C. last year, and I didn't know what she was singing, because she was singing her own language and in English as well. But it didn't make a difference. I mean, I like what I was listening or hear and the music, right? So, and it was great. And I said, man, maybe I should start interviewing more people in that area, because I really like music. As I say before, I don't play instrument. I don't know how to read music, but I follow what I hear. I follow what I like, I suppose, right? And,
yes. Yeah. Well, I was hugely inspired by Clannad, many years ago.
Yeah.
And going back to my upbringing, and the kind of music which was always playing around in the house,
Yeah.
I can see where I can see behind you there. You've got Tubular Bells. You've got
My Caulfield.
Bells. That was the first album I was ever given, and
really?
it absolutely blew my mind. It blew my mind. I still refer a lot to it, and I can feel those themes of tubular bells coming through sometimes in the compositions I do on the piano, especially.
Yeah.
And it's funny how those little inspirations are planted deep in your mind and your memories, and how it could just stay there and bloom later on in your life, you're not even aware, almost. You know what I mean? Yes.
But Mike Oldfield blew me away actually as well. And I have, funny that you ask, because I'm in the process of interviewing most of the people that have worked with Mike Oldfield over the years. I don't know if you know Anita Hegerland, Barry Palmer. They were singers working with Mike Oldfield over the years, right, in different albums.
Yeah.
And I interviewed three. I interviewed another guy yesterday who there's going to be participating in a tribute. So in Madrid, Spain, I need to look it up, but I think it's March 23rd or something. They're doing a big concert, a big tribute concert to Mike Oldfield. So they're bringing Anita, Maggie, and two ladies from Spain to play with him. And another lady from the UK. I forgot the name, Nikki. I forgot the name, but so they're going to be a big tribute. The best, all the closest people that have worked with Mike Oldfield are going to be there. There's going to be a tribute, and I interview his older brother, and I'm trying to make arrangement with Mike sister to do an interview as well. Mike is going to be tough because he's Mike living in the Bahamas right now. He's kind of isolated.
I see.
He, as far as I know, right? Kind of he doesn't do interview. He doesn't want to do interview. He's tired. And unfortunately, in the case of Mike Oldfield, he grew up in a complicated family. Something happened. I don't want to, you can look it up on the internet, with his mom. Number one, number two, he begins very famous too early in life. And that in many ways created conflict in his life, because anybody in the world wanted to either take advantage of him, work with him, ask him for advice, more pressure on concert, more release and more fame. And if you are not mature, and it's very difficult to be mature at that age, it can mess up your life. And that's as far as I can tell here in this interview about what's happened. So he has done well financially. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need to do touring. He doesn't need tour or do interviews, or he's okay. Difficult marriages, like 3 or 4, I don't know. Who am I to criticize people? But you asked me a question. But his music is unbelievable. I mean, Tubular Bells is, in my opinion, one of the, in the history of civilization, I think, Tubular Bells is going to be the top 50 by far, for sure. And it came by kind of accident, and it's like a miracle. At the beginning, he went to a record label, and everybody said, "Man, we don't like this stuff. It doesn't have lyrics. It's not pop. We cannot play in the radio. DJs cannot play. Go away, away." And eventually, somebody gave him a break, and the rest was history. And then for the movie The Exorcist in 1973, that music was used. Which was another accident, because the director, he had known another band from Germany called Tangerine Dream. He would have used Michael in Dream, not Mike Oldfield stuff. So that's another accident. So like a miracle. Absolutely. That's the right way to say it. That's a miracle that the record produced and was put out there. And then after The Exorcist, he became huge.
Of course, yeah.
And I think he's, I don't know. I would love to interview the guy, but I don't think it's going to be difficult.
Mm.
I know a way to do it. I will know more in March. I'm willing to, I'm willing to go to Hamas and interview the guy if he accepts, and I will agree to any condition. The guy tell me, okay, meet me at 3 o'clock in the morning, this alley. Don't ask me about two-wheeler belt. Yes,
Yeah.
whatever. Because for me, as I said before, right? I really would like to interview the guy, talk to the guy. More than interview, my things are about conversation between two people that like music. I'm not a journalist, right? I don't speak English that well, and the question come to me as I'm prepared. I have usually 3 questions, but I'm improvising stuff. I'm very good at reading the other person, so I know if you're comfortable or uncomfortable when I ask you some question, and if you're uncomfortable, I dig deeper into, go deeper into the question or getting to know you and stuff like that. My interviews are different in the sense that even if I was talking to, I don't know, Peter Gabriel or Mike Oldfield, I don't want to talk about the hits. Everybody knows the hits. It's not important to me. I want to know the person. I want to know the person behind the instrument. How difficult it was for you to put the first album. Any pressure for your family, like I told you before, right? So for my interviews are different in the sense that I want to get to know the human side. And with Mike Oldfield, it's a lot of material for me to ask questions. I will, hopefully, God will help me, God willing, and I will know more in March if I have the opportunity. Because I really want to talk to this guy, talk his side. Like when you ask me the question, that's the side of him, because I have read about his life in forums. But I want to know his side. He has all the right to be by himself. Maybe depressed. Maybe he doesn't want to talk to anybody. He's happy, here and there, and who I am to criticize, right? So I don't know. I don't answer to your question, but that's a great album, man. Yeah, that's a great album. Tell me, you were, you've been a recording artist for, I don't know how to pronounce, Sain, and BBC Records.
Sain. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only record company there was at that time, to be honest, in Wales. Yeah. But it was I started off with had the idea. I was going out with a fellow musician who later became my long life partner, and he lived in Bethesda in North Wales, and there was a guy called Les Morrison who had his own studio, which was just unheard of at that time, And I said, why don't we put some of your songs down there? So we did, and then Sain, the record company, showed interest, and that's how it happened. And then I got my first album then with Sain Records, and then I did about 1, 2, 3, 4. If not 5 albums with them. And then we decided then to create our own sort of studio and record company, and which lasted for many years actually. And so I released the later albums on my own label then here. And it meant me able to work from home, and we had 3 children, and so it was. It worked really, really well for a while, and then all the sort of recording scene changed, of course, and so the studio as such, is not in the same form as it was. But so but it started off all in North Wales in Sain Records in a very small little village called Llandwrog, and an iconic recording studio, and still is. It still is.
Good for you. Yeah. It still exists, that studio, or?
Sain Records does, yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's still going from strength to strength now. I think it's morphed into, people can come in and rent the studio, but they also release on their own label still. Yeah, it's
Is it
space.
is it difficult to make a living as a musician?
Well,
In
it
general terms.
always is. Yes, it is. It's like anything else. There's a saying, llanw a thrai, it's ebb and flow always.
Yeah.
1 minute you're flavor of the month, and then next minute you think, oh, okay. There's nothing coming in now for a while. But it's something that I've always known about the world of music, and it can be scary, but I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. And at the moment, for whatever reason, I'm very busy. But for most part, I'm with a group called Adar now. 4 ladies who we're all singer-songwriters and folk musicians, and we were put together for a project for the Eisteddfod, the national Eisteddfod, the big Eisteddfod in Wales, and it was just for a sort of a concert series, and we had such fun, and we got a few songs together, and it seemed to work. And then over COVID, we released a few tracks, sort of all from our own recording spaces, and that seemed to, I don't know, it lit a flame really in people's minds, I think, and they seem to enjoy it. So now we've bought an album out now called Maina Olai, There Is Light, and we're touring a lot, and it's been so lovely performing with 3 other musicians at my side, because sometimes it can be quite a lonely place to be on your own on the stage. It's something I've always done for 45 years, but it's and I love it when I'm there and I'm in the flow and everything is wonderful. But I've noticed that being with the other 3 ladies, it's just given a whole different side to things, that you can share the pressure of having to talk and having and we have a laugh, and it's just, that is really, really nice. So that's something that I did not see coming at all. I was even contemplating maybe, perhaps I should, is it time now? There's another Welsh saying called, ydy'n amser I roi'r fiddle yn y to? Is it time to put the violin in the roof? I know that sounds totally bizarre, but what it means is it's from a time when it was frowned upon to play any kind of musical instrument because of the religious revivals that happened at the turn of the last century. And then a saying came from that, roi'r fiddle yn y to, you have to put the fiddle in the roof out of the way so that nobody sees that you're playing it. That's become a saying to do, is it time now for you to finish things and put the fiddle in the roof? But I've decided against that now, because I'm having a great time, and I didn't expect that to happen in my 60s, and I'm just having a whale of a time, and I'm appreciating it all so much. After now since you were asking earlier on about wanting to get to know the people you want to talk to, well, there we are. I'm telling you everything now. After an illness last year, which absolutely floored me, I thought, okay, this is time now to try and change your life, and but the support I had from people I didn't even know, in the musical world, in the community, people who had listened to my music over the years and just all messaged me, and I thought, wow, okay, this is amazing. I hadn't quite grasped, I suppose I hadn't quite grasped what my music had done over the years. Do you know what I mean? You just do it because you love doing it and it's your work, and you don't really register if it affects other people or if it's helped heal other people or helped, and I felt so blessed, and I thought, no, I'm not gonna put the fiddle in the roof yet.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
working with the group, with Pedair, is just enhanced all that, and it's made me appreciate every single new experience that comes my way. And so yeah, it's interesting how life's events can take these little funny twists and turns that you're not expecting. Good and
Absolutely.
bad.
Yeah, good and bad. Absolutely. And like you said before, music is very healing, we live in crazy time with, Ukraine and Russia and Palestine and Israel. And as a human civilization, I think we're doomed. We're killing one another. And if music can bring satisfaction and distract us a little bit, so take us some places, or ignore the media and the television, and and music can be very powerful, for at least for me it is, right? So I
absolutely.
turn on the phone, I turn on TV, I do my work, right? Because I need to be connected to internet. I interviewed, but it's but my job is that's a job, right? I'm a computer scientist, right? But that's a job. It's not my life. Music is my life in many ways. Always, so it's a job in general, right? Can pay the bills, you can raise a family, have a mortgage and buy a car and so forth. But it's no a profession that define me. Music that, in many ways, at least to me, that define me as a human being. As a human being.
Yes.
So,
well, I'm such a huge believer in the power of music, and not just the power of music to change, but the power of music to heal. And I've seen it for myself. I've seen it for myself over the years, and it never fails to humble me. It just makes me feel there is, we like to think we're in control of these things, and we're not. There is so much that we don't understand about the healing power of music, and
absolutely,
and that's why I'm a huge exponent of more music in schools and in the education system. Not necessarily maybe even as something for them to pursue in later life. If that happens, that's amazing. But just for their mental health, for their physical health, for everything. I think we push music out of the education system at our peril. It's hugely important, and I see it as a teacher of the harp with the pupils that I see. It lightens them. It seems to, you see it lightening their soul. It floors me every time. Yeah.
Where do you think the music come from? That's not that easy answer.
Whose music? My music? Or?
No, where in general, where do you think music come from?
Oh gosh, that's the $1 million question.
I don't know.
We've always created, and we as human beings, we've always been, it's always been there, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's the beginning of civilization, right? When
absolutely,
when we became kind of humans and came from the apes 5 million, 5 million years ago, right? In the cave, I don't know if they have language at the time. I don't know where's another question, but how languageable, but they were painting and cave, the animals, right? They need to kill to eat, right? So I suppose that, I don't know, they began speaking or mimicking animals, and then eventually music was created in some ways as, primitive instrument, not even instrument, I suppose, right? So, but that's, I think, where but music, nowadays is powerful, is healing, it takes us places. you can see like a movie or a soundtrack of a movie. You put your headphone and you throw the light and I don't know, you drink a glass of wine or a beer, and it transport, at least to me, it transport me to places. I can travel with music. I escape my little problems, my real world, this or that, media, television, which I don't care. And you can listen to good music and I don't know, tubular bells or your music, or clarinet or lorina, whatever, and take you places. That's beautiful. I think it's that what makes us human beings in many ways, and
Yeah.
at least I know how I'm going to die one day. So I would be dying here at home and listen to music in the background. So that's my that's what I would like to do. But and I'm very lucky because here where I live, in between the border of Washington D.C. and Maryland, every band come this way, and I mean literally every band plays this way, because Washington is well known, and as you know, right, you've been here many times, and the income per capita is higher, so people can afford to go to shows, and we have a lot of venues, so it's great. It's great for me. I wouldn't live anywhere else because I couldn't see music, I couldn't see bands, and for me, seeing bands playing live, it's great. The energy of the crowd, as when you're playing harp, right, and quite sure you see people in the first 2, 3 rows. In many ways, your music evokes different emotion in people, or they remember about a boyfriend or a loved one or somebody passing away or going to cancer or whatever, making stuff up, right? But it brings a lot of emotion back, and people, I suppose, they cry, they get emotional these days, right? With your type of music, right? Not with rock and roll, but right. The melodies and the lyrics and the harp, right?
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very blessed if that happens. I really do.
Yeah, and we need to. People should face the music, so to speak, right? Look in the mirror and become express their emotion, crying or this or that. I don't know why guys don't do that, but I do. Crying is part of what make me a human being, I suppose. Yeah. So and bring a music and bring this stuff in you. Anything you would have done differently in your life, looking back? Easy to say than done, but or you're happy with the way your life turned out?
Well, yes. Do you know, it's a funny one. I've often asked that of myself. Would I have changed anything? And of course, once you start to think about the things that maybe you would have tweaked or not done or should have done, or it changes people and events, and they disappear from your life. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's like the Back to the Future film, isn't it? Once you start thinking, oh, I should have done that, and why did I go down that road, or why did I do? But I think everything happens for a reason, and the good and the bad. Maybe the only thing maybe I feel that, which I've always been very, very uncomfortable about, is just pushing myself. and with social media and everything like that, it's anathema to me. I have a real struggle with, okay, you need to promote this now, you need to get this out, and to say it's the best thing that's ever done, or whatever. And I always find that slightly difficult, but maybe I should have been a little bit more, to separate myself from that self-promoting thing. But that's never been easy for me. So maybe the only thing I would have changed maybe would be to get a manager. I did have managers every now and again. I had a wonderful agent in America. But yeah, I don't know. No, probably to answer your question again, I probably wouldn't change anything. And, you know, I feel very, very, very lucky, so lucky in that I've been able to do something I love and cherish, and I've managed to make an okay living out of it. Has been absolutely fine.
Good
And
for you, man. Good for you, yeah. But plus, if you have gone different paths and doing different things or this, you would have become a different person, right? So
absolutely.
you know that path, making left instead of right, or right instead of left, or marrying that person, or doing this or doing that, you will become a different person. Maybe you would have not become a musician, but in your case, you always wanted to be a musician. You would have been a musician, but under different circumstances, under a different roof. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and where people can buy your music. Feel free to elaborate where you mentioned your website, where people can get a hold of you and buy your music. And
yes, well, on my website, I as I said, I've been busy with Adar, so that's been sort of taking a lot of my energy. But I think I do have an album in my head, and I do definitely have songs that I've been composing over the past few years that I haven't recorded. So I need to get my act together, and and maybe it'll be full circle, and I may even go back to Sain Records again and do another album with them, which would be interesting for me because, of course, that's what I started off, and it'd be nice to, at this point in my life, to maybe to record these songs now there. We'll see anyway. But yeah.
And what about?
I don't know where else can we get it all the way. I don't know. Yes, it's my website, and that's about it, is it?
Really? I will put the link to it on the description. And hopefully people can buy your music, right? So and
yes,
which is great music. Which is great. Yeah, I like it. Anyone you wish you could share a scenario with? Any people that you wish you could be an opening act for, or play with, or have composed with?
Well, the biggest icon for me was Kate Bush.
Yeah. Oh,
so I could open a gig for Kate Bush, but I don't think Kate's going to do another gig anytime soon. I'm not sure anyway. But oh well, that would be. But I just love what I'm doing, and But yeah, the influences have been very varied over the years, from Pink Floyd to Tubular Bells to Kate Bush to Nina Simone, who had a huge influence on me and because I just have always loved jazz and the blues, and again an influence from my childhood. It would have been wonderful to open a gig for all those, but in my little fantasy world.
That's right. Kate Bush is unbelievable. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. She's kind of retired too. She's not touring at all, and she made a lot of money before, so she's no need for her to record stuff or do interviews or release new album or whatever. She's living out of loyalties and stuff like that. So.
No, but going back to influences of how these sort of seeds are sown in your head, as I was saying about Tubular Bells, but also I remember listening to my transistor radio in bed one morning on a Saturday morning, and hearing Wuthering Heights for the first time.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, oh my goodness, that is the most amazing thing I've ever heard, because I always loved the drama, but there wasn't quite as much drama in the folk music that I was singing. there was in the content, but maybe not in
Yeah.
the performance. So hearing Kate Bush bringing that kind of drama, unashamedly dramatic, the drama into her songs, I thought that was just amazing. And that blew my mind. And I thought, perhaps I can bring a bit of Wuthering Heights and Kate Bush into, I don't know, songs, like Ereneth Gafi Gwrthod or Lisa Lan, or the songs that I sing, So, yeah. I love drama, Claudio. I love the drama.
Yeah, I can tell. No, she's unbelievable. Yeah, also, yeah, I have a very good opinion of her actually as well. Hopefully one day I will have the opportunity to talk to her, but unlikely because she's very famous. So, and unless you're coming from the BBC radio or something, it's hard to interview some musician. But hey, I'm going to get there one day.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I want to get there, so I'm 100% sure. So because I want to do it. And okay, Sian, it was very nice talking to you. On question, we'll do a part two of this conversation in the near future. And hey, man, maybe one day you can bring your harp, in front, and then you can play a little bit, and we'll record it.
Oh, I would love to come over. I would really love to come over to America. Yeah. It would be wonderful. Yeah. I haven't been in a while.
Yeah. There've been so many great venues here. There are many where I live in DC. Big venues, small venue. People really like music here, and as I mentioned before, every band that comes this way, they do very well. You need to get like a good tour manager and somebody having interest in booking some gigs and play. With Lorena McKinney was here. 3-4 months ago, she did very well. She sold out all the shows. Clara, the same. Playing venues of, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 folks, people or so. And there are many venues like this here. They did very well. So, hey, you need to make it happen, Sian.
Oh, I would love to come back. I really would.
Yeah, let me know if I can recommend you some venues or anything I can help you out. Let me know.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Here I'm willing and able to help out any way I can.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. It was very nice talking to you.
Oh, it's been lovely talking to you too. Thanks so much for asking me.
No problem. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Bye-bye.